Hey guys, what's up? This is Frank from MTG Unlimited, and today I'll be bringing you guys a mono black discard deck tech for M15 Standard. So this deck has recently emerged as a possible deck that can actually compete in the metagame for M15 Standard. It's got a lot of good cards in it. So basically what this deck tries to do is combo with things like Waste Not and other cards that let your opponent discard cards like Mind Rot, Duress, Thoughtseize, etc. It tries to combo with those cards in order to get certain benefits while also just depleting their hand of cards. It's a great deck. It has a lot of responses to things for removal. It's got some good creatures, and it has a nice just kind of mechanic where it functions with Waste Not, Duress, Mind Rot, and Thoughtseize, and even Liliana the Vest, as I have said before. It just basically focuses all around trying to kind of stall your opponent's game to a point where then you begin to build up your board with big creatures like Master of the Feast, Indulgent Tormentor, swinging for lots of damage, things like that. So let's get into the cards here. Up first, you guys can see Indulgent Tormentor. Indulgent Tormentor is a new M15 card. It's a 5-drop, 5/3 flyer, and at the beginning of your upkeep, draw a card unless target opponent sacrifices a creature or pays 3 life. So basically, this guy, in addition to just being a 5/3 flyer for 5, which is very good in of itself, he also allows you to get card advantage on your opponent. And even if you don't get to draw that card at your upkeep, your opponent is still sacking a creature or paying 3 life. So they're getting either closer to 0 or their board state is even further diminished. And it's easier for you to swing in with this guy for lots more damage, bringing them even closer to 0. This card's a definite forward of just because of its power in the meta. So up next, you guys can see Underworld Connections. This is a staple of Standard right now, especially for mono black decks. Underworld Connections is absolutely fantastic. Basically, you just enchant a land, tap it, pay 1 life, and draw a card. It's great to do it at the end of their turn. It just helps build up your hand, especially late game when you're starting to run out of gas. Really gets you back in the game, lets you draw lots of cards. Usually with this deck, you'll be able to pay that life. You'll usually be in a good state where you'll be able to handle that. This deck really kind of needs this in order to keep it in the game. So that's why I'm playing it as a 4 of. Underworld Connections, just great enchantment overall, and it's kind of sad that it's rotating in a month or so, but I'm sure there will be something else that we can put in instead. The next card is basically the main card in the deck, Waste Not. It's a 2-mana enchantment, which already is very good. And when an opponent discards a creature, you get to put a 2/2 zombie creature token onto the battlefield. So, and also, whenever an opponent discards a land card, you add 2 black to your mana pool. And whenever an opponent discards a non-creature, non-creature, or non-land card, you get to draw a card. So basically, no matter what they're discarding, you're getting some kind of benefit from it, whether it's creature, mana, or you get to draw a card. Waste Not is great because you have a lot of cards in this deck that let your opponent, or force your opponent to discard cards. These include Thoughtseize, Mind Rot, and Duress. It's just a great combo overall. You get a lot of definite benefits from it. Next you'll see Master of the Feast. It's a 3-drop 5/5 flyer, which in of itself is absolutely insane. That's why its ability is on here. At the beginning of your upkeep, each opponent draws a card. That's basically to make up for the fact that it is a 5/5 flyer for 3, which is absolutely insane. It's just, you can swing for tons of damage with this guy, and your opponents aren't going to be expecting it at all. This guy is not commonly played in a lot of mono black decks, just because he's relatively new, and he's not as good as things like Desecration Demon, but I think after Desecration Demon rotates, he's going to make up for what mono black is missing, and I think he's a great card overall, just because of his power to swing for tons of damage on turn 4. Next is kind of a staple, also in Standard, Devour Flesh. 2 mana that target player sacks a creature and gains life equal to target creature's toughness. Basically, this gets around things like Indestructible, Hexproof, all sorts of things like that. And in case you're playing like things like Naya Hexproof or anything like that, it lets you still diminish their board state, even though you it's harder for you to do that. Up next is Hero's Downfall. This is a great card for Standard right now. 3 mana, destroy target creature or planeswalker. This basically takes almost anything on the board out. It's great because you can take out lots of creatures with it that are big threats, things like Desecration Demon, Stormbreath Dragon, Polar Kranos, anything like that. Although it also hits planeswalkers as well, so this is also a great card for things like Junk Midrange, Band, Bug, Super Friends, Jund, anything that plays a lot of planeswalkers and creatures. This is a great card against those decks overall. The next card is only a 2 of, Ultimate Price. Destroy target mono-colored creature. The reason this is only a 2 of is because there's only a few mono-colored decks, mono blue, mono green, and mono black. Those decks are very commonly played in the metagame, actually. However, they don't make up a huge percentage of the metagame, so that's why I'm only playing as a 2 of. They're not super common, but it's still a good removal spell to have. There's not a ton else to say. It's just pretty much takes out any monocolored decks, and you're going to want to side that in against any monocolored decks, obviously. So up next, you can see Liliana Vess, another great card in this deck. It's a 5 mana planeswalker that enters with 5 loyalty counters on it, and her +1 is target player discards a card. Already, that's fantastic with this deck in combination with Waste Not. You can get tons of benefits from it, and in addition, you're just depleting their hand. Her -2, you basically get to tutor up a card and put it on top of your library. Also very good. You can tutor up whatever you need in that certain situation that can get you out of it. And then obviously her ultimate is absolutely ridiculous. Now, 99% of the time you're not going to get her ultimate off because you'll be either +1ing or -2ing her to get more benefits like that. But if you do get her ultimate off, you've basically just won the game because you get creatures from all graveyards on the battlefield under your control. Up next, you can see Duress. Duress is a 1 mana, target opponent discards a non-creature, non-land card from their hand. You choose that card. This is, usually you're going to want to wait. If you have a Waste Not in your hand, you're going to want to wait to play this card so that you do get that benefit from Waste Not. However, if there's no Waste Not in your hand, feel free to do this turn 1. You get to look at their hand, see what they're going to do, and just kind of prepare for what's going to happen, and also take usually a good card out of their hand. So up next, you guys can see Mind Rot. Mind Rot was reprinted in M15, which is very good, especially for this deck. Mind Rot is a 3 mana, target player discards 2 cards. As you know, is basically the main function of this deck. Just basically discard their hand, and you get benefits from it, and they run out of cards to play. This card just kind of falls in line with that sort of mechanic with this deck. It has great synergy with Waste Not, and it's just kind of another card to even out the balance of the cards that allow you to force your opponent to discard. Having the 4 Mind Rots is absolutely crucial because they discard 2 cards, so you're going to get a lot more benefits from it with Waste Not because you can play Waste Not turn 2 and then turn 3 Mind Rot, force them to discard 2 cards, and then you get all those benefits that I was talking about earlier. Up next is Thoughtseize, a definite staple in Standard, Modern, and it's even played in Legacy as well. It's a great card in all of these formats, and this target player reveals their hand, you choose a non-land card from it, they discard it, and you gain 2 life. Again, like I was saying with Duress, you're going to want to wait to use the Thoughtseize if you have Waste Not in your hand. However, if you don't, feel free to just go ahead and use it. It's no big deal. And like I said with Duress, you just get to see their hand, know what they're going to do, and also just take the best card out of their hand from them. So, I'd just like to talk about the mana base. It's just 23 swamps, nothing crazy here, just kind of a typical mana base for a monocolored deck. I didn't put the Mutavaults in just because this deck, or Mutavaults are rotating soon, and they're not crucial to the deck at all. Now, the sideboard, as you can see, is playing 4 Lifebane Zombies. That's mostly played for disruption and just getting more creatures out. The 4 Shrieking Affliction is played against decks that don't draw cards very often, and most of the time they will have 1 or fewer cards in their hand. Just some more removal that you might want to side in, and that extra Duress that you might want to side in as well. So I just like to say that this deck is definitely, I'd say, a budget deck. It comes in at right about $140. However, it is cheaper if you don't want to get like the Lifebane Zombies or whatever for this deck. It's very cheap, and I would highly recommend making it. It's just a fun deck to play with. People aren't really expecting it at this point, and it's just a great deck overall. So, thanks for watching. Just like or subscribe. Tell your friends about my channel. Thanks for all the support, guys.